Yo, what's good? It's your boy Big Steve, and welcome to the Haze and Blue, where we smoke and talk Michigan football. So let's get into it. So, with the spring game right around the corner, it has been announced that they still will have the spring game on April 20th, but it will not be aired on Big Ten Network until after the transfer portal window closes, which is April 25th. So it's a cool thing that they still having a game. Unfortunately, due to the spring transfer portal and with tampering and coaches going programs going after players, Michigan has decided to not air the game until after the transfer window closes, which that closes April 25th. So just wanted to take a look back, around this time last year where we was in a certain situation coming off the national championship game, and we had some very, very high expectations for a couple players that end up leaving. We didn't lose a lot of players, but we did lose a lot of depth. When you look back on it, we did lose some of our big recruits. So that's why I always been having a hard time just talking about the recruiting process, even the players that's on campus now. I'm pretty sure Michigan did everything, in their powers to make sure Bryce Underwood stays at Michigan. But you still have a couple key glue players that we might end up losing in the transfer portal. But before we talk about those players, I just wanted to take a look back at last year. Like I say, just a couple key players that we end up losing in the transfer portal last year. And one of them will have to be Keon Sabb, the safety who was a sophomore for the national champions, played a very, very key role, had a lot of big tackles and pass breakups in that Alabama game. And it's crazy that he ended up transferring to Alabama. But unfortunately, with this second transfer portal window, this what we deal with having some key players that you expect to come back and do great things for Michigan, but end up transferring. Keon Sabb, I'm gonna see can I blow this up. No Diddy. There we go. That's a little bigger. Keon Sabb, who's a safety. Like I say, Michigan definitely had a lot of hope for him coming into the next year. But when it was announced that Quentin Johnson was coming back, I'm pretty sure he saw a bigger opportunity in a bigger bag to go to Alabama. So I don't knock him for that. I'm not sure if he's still at Alabama, but Keon Sabb was definitely one of my favorite players to watch. CJ Stokes, really, he really didn't do much. Matthew Hittner, I really never heard of him. He transferred. Darius Clemens. It's crazy that Michigan has such a down year in the receiving department last year because we let a lot of players, a lot of tall, big type receivers go in the transfer portal in the spring last year. Darius Clemens was one of them, former four-star kid out of the Portland area. It was no surprise that he transferred back to Oregon State, but this is a guy we definitely could have used last year. So losing him in that second transfer portal definitely hurt Michigan. Darius Clemens, there's a couple other guys up here that, once again, probably wasn't the biggest of names. Carmelo English, he was a top 200 recruit. He caught a touchdown pass as a freshman. We was expecting him to have, that Samaj Morgan type impact, but in the slot, didn't really turn out much. Transferred to West Georgia out of all places. Ahmad Dennis. God damn. Once again, big receiver that just decided to leave. Christian Dixon was definitely a strange one. I remember seeing him, I believe, his freshman year in the spring game. And I was like, man, this dude really going to be a star. So with Bryce Underwood coming and his new offensive coordinator coming, hopefully we can get this receiver room going. Because no matter how much we got of a running game or, Bryce Underwood, we're going to need some receivers. So Christian Dixon transfer. Jeremiah Beasley, he was a Michigan recruit. Didn't come on. Didn't stay long. He was one of our top recruiting linebackers. Once again, these players commit, and it's hard to get excited about them because they can be gone anytime. Like I said, he was a freshman. Just a few months after arriving, he transferred. So to Missouri, DJ Waller was definitely one of our top recruits. I believe out of the state of Ohio. It came down between Michigan and Ohio State. Choose Michigan, but hit the transfer portal, end up going to Kentucky. Once again, these are some key players that we, Samaj Bridgman. Once again, that freshman class, a lot of players left. These are guys we definitely can use as far as depth right now. Michigan don't have a lot of depth at some of these positions. We have some veterans returning, but especially on the offensive line, there's a lot of freshmen on this offensive line right now as far as backup. Amir Herring was a top recruit coming into Michigan. I was actually expecting a lot from this dude. So when he transferred, it kind of fucked me up, man, because I thought with Michigan having an O-line history that we had, we was going to be able to keep that dude around. So Amari Henry transferred to Kansas. So Hayden Moore, just a couple other players. Jake Dahl fumbled a fucking punt, but almost cost Michigan the national championship. But yeah, so that's just some of the players that transferred last year. And so I believe Michigan is definitely doing a good thing with not airing the spring game until after the transfer window closes. But being that we lost so much talent last year in the transfer portal that we really don't think about until coming into this year, that we lost a lot of players that could have been, some depth players competing for that backup role right now. But so, with that being said, I wanted to look at some players that we probably could end up deal with as far as this transfer portal is players that might enter the transfer portal this spring window. We know about Bryce Underwood, most likely going to be the starting quarterback from Michigan. We know about the knee kid from Fresno State. But Jaden Davis, do I think Jaden Davis will be at Michigan when they play Oklahoma this year? No. I believe Jaden Davis will probably transfer. Him being the high recruit that he was, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a school out there willing to throw some at him that can probably give him a chance to compete for a starting spot. But being that he didn't get no reps last year in that horrible quarterback room, with the best quarterback to ever come through the state of Michigan, you're definitely not going to get no reps. So not only Davis, Benjamin Hall. With Justin Hayes coming over from Alabama, then you have Jordan Marshall having a big game against Alabama that solidified him as the Michigan man. Can we keep Hall once again? Players has been mentioning his name through a couple players. Donovan Edwards said it, in his NFL combine that Benjamin Hall is definitely a player to look out for coming into the season. But I just feel with Justin Hayes and Jordan Marshall go get a lot of snaps, and Benjamin Hall has been waiting his turn. He sat behind Blake Corum. He sat behind Donovan Edwards. It's only right that he feel he should be one of the two guys that's in Michigan's backfield. So, yeah, man. So Benjamin Hall, Jordan Davis is definitely some players we're going to have to definitely keep in mind that can possibly look into the transfer portal. Far as the receivers go, if anything, Michigan might need to go get some receivers out the transfer portal. This is not the depth chart. This is a projection of the depth chart. But as far as the receivers goes, Moore, number 3, is a lot of expectations on him. He did have a touchdown against Alabama. Looked like he gained some muscle. That was my concern with him. He kind of looked like a slinky 6 feet. He didn't look like he had no muscles to him. But Simpson, the guy coming from UMass, basically turning into Michigan's AAA school right now with Don Brown being down there. But Samaj Morgan. I think Samaj Morgan probably sticks it out for one more year, being that Bryce Underwood is there. But, I've been hearing good things about McCauley, but Simpson I haven't heard too much about. Moore is definitely a guy that has a lot of expectations. The freshman, I can't think of his name right now. Probably Stewart. No, it got to be Marshall. A. Marshall, number 4. I've been hearing good things about that dude, and so far, this through other Michigan outlets. So I won't be surprised that if one of those guys, whether it's Morgan or Simpson, is not with Michigan, hopefully we can get Walker, the guy who's been at Michigan for a while now. You heard Will Johnson say some big things about him. But if anything, Michigan might need to look into the transfer portal for some receivers. But I don't really see it not too much of a threat leaving far as McCauley and Samaj Morgan and Moore. If we can keep those 3 guys, that'd be cool. Now, defense. I think, like I say, offensive line, definitely need to look into the transfer portal to see can we get some depth. Because if you can look right here, all these guys are freshmen, redshirt freshman, sophomore, freshman. So we definitely can look into the transfer portal for offensive line, which I'm going to do a video on soon because we've been kind of spoiled these last couple of years with the offensive line. So we definitely need to take in the fact that this can be, with a true freshman quarterback and not that much experience depth-wise at offensive line could cause for some headaches. So we definitely need to take a look into that transfer portal for some possible, backups. Now, on defense, you got Rashad Benny coming back. You got the David Payne. Some of these dudes, I don't know their first name. That's what the new thing about football now. Some of these players, I'm pretty sure I'm not the only fan that some of these motherfuckers you really don't know. You can't really put too much time into them because they can be gone by the end of April. But just some key positions to look at. That D tackle room, Awawa, what the fuck his name is? He's a grad transfer, big guy, been there for a while. And I'm pretty sure that Michigan would like to give somebody, younger a chance to compete for that second and third spot. Etta, I believe, will stay around. Pierce depends on the situation. He's a guy I think Michigan not earn that spring game during the transfer portal because a couple of these D linemen would definitely be gone. I definitely feel we won't have the same stars as a Mason Graham or Kenneth Grant. But as far as depth-wise, I feel Michigan D-line will have a lot of fucking depth. Linebackers, it basically comes down to Roeder and Hood. Both guys been around Michigan for 4 years now. We do have the transfer from Georgia coming over. So I won't be surprised if Hood, I believe Roeder will be more of the rotation. So Hood is somebody I can see transferring probably back to a smaller Florida school where he's from. The secondary, Hillman's going to start. Brandon Hillman, he's going to start. Like I say, this is not an actual Michigan depth chart. This is a projection from somebody. But Eric Berry, I think, is going to be around. Jaden McBarrows. Jaden McBarrows is somebody to keep an eye on because we saw number 25, Curtis, the sophomore, get some snaps at safeties last year. Didn't look too bad. Did have a big pass interference in the Ohio game, but getting that experience helped. So when you have the transfers coming over with Metcalf and Anderson coming over from Arkansas, you're going to have a couple secondary players probably end up transferring. Like I said, I know it's not going to be Hillman or Eric Berry. So McBarrows is somebody who I can see maybe transferring. But because Edmond, Curtis, and Hillman is 3 Michigan young guys I can see getting a lot of playing time this year. But there you have it, man. Like I say, hopefully we can keep all these guys and probably just add on. But it's going to be very difficult to do. Even though they're going to not air the spring game until after the portal, it's a field that it's ways you can get your shit out there. They're going to have some way to see some players in this spring game before it airs. And so we're going to probably end up losing some players. Hopefully, it's not nobody that's going to, no Keon Sabb type players. We can, Hood. We expect Davis to be gone. Hopefully, we can keep Benjamin Hall, because that 3-headed monster will be, that is something you need. Unfortunately, injury's going to happen. But receivers, offensive line, and linebackers is definitely positions we need to look at in the transfer portal to add to. But it's almost that time of year. It's coming upon us. I can't wait to watch the spring game. That's how much I've been needing some Michigan football right now. But like I say, hopefully we can keep all these players, man. That TJ guy and Derek Moore tend to go be looking crazy. That's going to be crazy. I think Derek Moore going to be an All-American. But there you have it, man. Spring window's upon us. There's going to be a lot of motherfuckers holding their breath from April 16th to April 25th. I hope they cancel this shit next year, man, because I don't want to keep dealing with this second transfer portal bullshit. But other than that, go motherfucking blue.